facts, no spin, yeah, we said it. Coke pint, real talk, where you headed?
Gotta do a little bit of 2 Chainz this
Bills, yeah, we
week.
read it. Paint some politics, where the truth is. Big facts, no.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Episode 87.
87. Wow, man. It's been a long time. But, thank our sponsor, Comer Distributing.
Yes.
Providing another cold beverage this week. Guffey, what'd you pick out?
I seen soda and beer together, and I was like, oh, this will be a good idea. So we got NODA Brewing, Cheerwine ALE.
What you think?
Not a fan.
Some things should not be combined, and I mean,
This is one of them.
it doesn't even taste like beer to me.
It tastes like to me, it tastes like
diluted?
Cheerwine that has too much soda water in it. Like if you go to a fountain drink and you're trying to get a Cheerwine,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really diluted. That's 5.2% alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want to taste beer,
Hey,
you go.
folks, and you know, as
like a diet Cheerwine maybe.
yeah, right, yeah. It's got that little bit of a saccharine aftertaste, but which I don't like Diet Coke. So, hey,
We're going through it though.
The intro song said, "Where the truth at?" Hey, even if it's bad news for our sponsors, we're still going to give it to you straight,
Yeah.
folks. Even when we make mistakes.
Well,
we're gonna
usually
own
I
it,
try
so.
to find something good to say,
Whew.
but this one is rough for me.
Yeah, it's not our favorite. How about that?
It's cool can art,
Yeah, man, that's true. That is true.
and I bet you it sells like hell just because people that love Cheerwine.
Yeah, right. And if you're a Cheerwine fan, you probably should
Probably
give it a
like
try.
it.
Yeah. So we're gonna struggle through.
Just ignore the faces.
Whew, so we were off this week. House was on furlough. Senate was in perfunctory, which meant the Senate Finance Full Committee was taking up the budget.
Yep.
So a lot of news coming out of that that we'll touch on. But what else has been going on this week?
Well, I've been down in Columbia most of this week.
Yeah.
Even though we've been off, woke up Monday morning to someone in my house that shouldn't have been.
Right. God, it's been a long week.
So felt safer to not be home this week.
Yeah. So you had someone trespassing on your property, right?
Yes.
Like 5, 6 in the morning,
5 until 6 while I was sleeping.
hanging out on the front porch,
Yep.
eating some McDonald's.
Hanging out in the sunroom.
There you go.
And then, so after filing the police report, didn't
Yeah.
know who it was. Cameras just picked it up. She ended up coming back to the house. And so at that point, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not staying here.
And they got her for trespassing.
Yes.
Wow, man.
Well, I don't know what the charges were because honestly, I think it was just a bad situation.
Yeah.
So
And
maybe not any
so
charge.
you dipped out because your family was on
In
spring break
Florida,
as well, so they
yeah.
went on a trip.
It's like
That's right.
I can get more work done, not worried about every little knock throughout the night or
Yeah.
anything like that. So I
well,
went,
good that nobody was hurt. All those things.
yeah,
Hopefully-
I don't think I was in any danger. Just scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. Hope the lady gets some help
Yeah.
where she needs it. So,
So
you were in Columbia working on.
well, I had to work on the book, so I had to finish up the copywriting of
Yep.
the book, the second round of it, and which took 3-4 days. Also went and attended some of the Senate hearings. David Martin's street takeover bill had a hearing, so I made sure I showed up for that in support of him. And Shazam, I'm trying to get a hearing for Shazam. The clock's ticking.
I know.
So-
We've got a few weeks left here, and when you and I were pre-showing and talking about some of the stuff we're working on, I wanted you to talk about and hit on what you are doing to try to get this Shazam chat. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
let's talk about to the two listeners. Tell them what you're trying to do. What do your efforts look like?
well, there are many different ways to get a bill heard.
Because we've passed the House version out.
Yes.
Okay, now
Unanimous.
Yep.
So this should be a layup, but we passed other bills, like early last year, we passed the REINS Act, and it's just been sitting in judiciary and hasn't
Over in
come out
the
of
Senate.
subcommittee. Yes.
Over in the Senate. Yep.
So trying to get a bill heard, you can take the aggressive route, which you get the groups involved. So you may get, like Mama's a big supporter of this. Palmetto Family's a big supporter of this. ADF's a big supporter of this. So I could have these groups start saying, hey, call your senator, get them to get a hearing. In my experience, that does nothing but cause it to hold up.
Yeah.
So my approach is to go to the subcommittee chair, go to the chairperson, asking if we can get it in, what does the schedule look like, how do we get it heard before it's too late to get heard on the floor.
Yep.
Because we don't want to do all this work and then the bill fail in the last minute.
And so, folks, you know, when Brandon was telling me about his efforts this week, it reminded me similar to what I'm working on. The House passed out the physician non-compete a few weeks ago. We also passed out a collaborative practice bill between physicians and pharmacists that I amended and put some test to treat language in there to make, you know, getting your flu, COVID test, strep, some of those things, where you could go to your pharmacy, get swabbed, tested, and then get the drug dispensed right there at one place, right? So improving access for the patient. So those are the two bills that I've been tracking and working with the Medical Affairs Chair, Senator Danny Verdon, and also the Medical Affairs Sub-Chair and Senator Tom Davis, trying to get them to sort of prioritize that effort to make sure we can get it across the finish line and to the governor's desk. And that is some of the things that you will not see, you know, in a press conference. Or
That's actually putting in work.
That's right. You will not see that effort. You won't see from the well of the House or the Senate. That's stuff that is off camera.
Yep.
That's sort of the roll up your sleeves, blue collar work that you have to do to be an effective legislator here in South Carolina.
And working with the lobbyists, working with the people that represent those that might oppose it.
Yeah, or the stakeholders in general, right?
Yes.
Someone, whether it's patient advocates group, whether it's a physician group, whatever, there's a lot of stakeholders that will descend upon the State House and try to get that message to us.
Yep.
That they're in support or they oppose a
certain
personal
language.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And then sometimes they help to make it a better bill.
And if it's easier, if someone opposes just this specific language, sometimes it's easier to say, okay, well, if I get that change, do we have your support?
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Well, am I able to go to this subcommittee chair? Am I able to go to this chairperson and say, this organization supports it as well?
Yeah.
As long as we get this change, they feel comfortable.
And a lot of times, because you and I are not attorneys, some of these changes are semantic.
Will versus shall.
You know, or there's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's an effect, but there's not a substantial effect of what we want,
Right.
what our legislative intent is. And so a lot of times when you get people coming to your office or coming down to the State House to talk to you about a bill, and they're like, hey, this actually cast a wide net. Was that your intention? I'm like, no, hell no, I never meant to do that. And they're like, well, if we change this sentence or this sentence, our industry won't get captured with this. You know what I mean? And so some of the, like I said, some of these efforts are just to make the bill better, right? To narrowly focus it to whatever the legislator's intent was with the bill. So,
well, I'll give an example. A perfect example is Matt Lieber has the bill, and I've got the sister bill or companion bill in the House to stop prior authorization purely through artificial intelligence.
The denials.
The denials.
So when you get a drug or a procedure that's been ordered and it goes to the insurance company and they deny the claim,
right?
Your bill guarantees that, say, a Blue Cross Blue Shield or a Humana, in that denial, there has to be human intelligence in that decision.
A human has to review it. Now, if you want to approve it, then so be it, because this hits all this criteria, it's approved. And, you know, I originally went to Blue Cross Blue Shield and asked them about the bill, you know, and they said, this isn't something we do. Yeah. So it's like, okay, so we can get this bill moving forward. Now, the language that's in the bill, they do have some problems with. So it goes to subcommittee, and then there's some pushback on it due to definitions or anything else. So then I have to have a conversation with Blue Cross and say, hey, this is the intent of the bill. As long as we can hit this intent without removing it, then let's work together.
Yeah, correct. And I like the bill because that brings up the prior auth issue. Senator Johnson in the Senate and myself entered companion bills to reform prior authorization. So when you brought that bill up, I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Well, and I've been saying, you know, because we talked about it so much, and I keep saying like my bill this and my bill that.
Right.
Matt Lieber corrected me very quickly. He's like, Guffey, this is not your bill. This was my bill. Here's my conversation. I was like, okay, I owe an apology.
So our bill.
Yeah. We had talked about it, but in a bigger scheme of things, this
Right.
is a simplistic version that Lieber's trying to get through before the end of the session.
Yeah.
And since anything to do with tech typically involves me, I have a lot of the organizations that are coming to me to
Right.
discuss. And the same thing, we have 2 chatbot bills coming up next week. One sponsored by Senator Lieber, one sponsored by Senator Kimbrell. Both with similar intent, just different language to try to protect people online. No counseling services being offered. I have the companion bills in the House,
Okay.
but those will have hearings coming up. So a lot of conversations revolving around that this week as well.
Yep. So
And those are important because you have to define the word to begin with. Chatbot's not something that is typically
in the
in our
vernacular.
so
in the code.
we may say chatbot. Well, now you've got a telecommunication company that says,
Wait a minute.
hey, our customer service is basically a chatbot. It's a robot replying back and forth.
Right.
You're going to get that caught up in it. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, we've got
And
to
so
make
now
sure
you
we
got
get
to
that down.
narrowly tailor your definition to
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
We have to make sure. But that's being intentional.
Oh yeah.
Because the last thing that we want is to hurt businesses because a word was willy-nilly defined.
Yep. And so yeah, that's what's going on. I know we're gonna have, what do we have, like 3 weeks left before we get out of here?
Well, we've got budget week in 3 weeks.
Okay, so 4 weeks total.
Yep.
And I just know, man, looking at our list here, we've still got roads to take care of. We've still got
Insurance reform,
and we still got property tax relief.
transportation.
Yep, the DOT bill is going to be a big one. So, we better.
We got to get to work. And look, I've got one of my big fears about not getting a hearing. The last week of April, I've got to be in LA. And I'm going to miss those days. And
Right.
that causes anxiety with me because I feel like if I don't get something done in the time that I'm here, then I could cause my own bill to fail at the last minute.
Yeah, right. You mean Lieber's bill?
No, I'm talking about my bill with Shazam. But same thing with those too. As we're working, time is crucial. And from my understanding, the Senate's going to be bringing up the life at conception bill again, which is probably going to be, it's not going to be a one-day discussion.
Oh, right.
And do we get caught up in this whole battle like we did with tort reform last year, where it takes up so much time that other things can't get through?
Precious time, man.
Yeah. Now, also this week, you had a little bit of fun.
What's that?
You was in town for a little bit, and you had some work.
Yep.
And then
Then I wouldn't. I do appreciate our matching Masters tees. I guess we just need a logo P&P on it or something. This can be our correspondent shirts. But yeah, got to take a walk in Augusta on Thursday.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the last few years I've been able to enjoy perfect weather. But yeah, have been there before. Have been blessed to have been there many times, and that place is gorgeous. And they do it right, man. They do it right. $1.50 for an egg salad sandwich, $1.50 for pimento cheese. A lot of these corporate sort of sponsored
sounds like I would have saved $3 right there.
major golf tournaments, sell beers for like $15. You know what I mean? They're still selling beers for $5 or $6. So it's just a great tradition. I know that's their tagline, but
the ticket only costs like $25,000 though.
Yeah. So, but yeah, got to have a good time with some friends and customers. So yeah, had a good old time, man. And but let's get back to the politics side of things, because there was some stuff that came out, and we always joke troubling news in the Senate Finance when they met on Monday, I believe. Tuesday was the first day.
Yeah.
I believe Senator Goldfinch brought up that there was some information that he has learned about where one of our colleagues in the House, Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, had earmarked some funds that went to Solicitor David Pascoe's office, which then David Pascoe's office as solicitor then turned around and hired Gilda Cobb Hunter because she is in social work.
Yeah.
Right. And so now again, let's say these are all allegations. They're not. I haven't seen any evidence of this except for what.
I mean, she could have been hired at that office beforehand.
Correct.
But
that's what I'm saying. So let's preface all of this is that this is just we are passing along news that came up in the full committee of Senate Finance on Tuesday of this past week. I'm sure that she will get out there and give a response to clear the record, or just explain what actually happened. Because yeah, you're right. I mean, there was a lot of things that got put out there, and I believe Senator Clymer then put out a proviso where none of us in the General Assembly can have that happen, right? Where we cannot have a personal benefit from earmarked money.
I mean, I thought that was law.
I think it's at least ethics, right? And
Yeah.
so again, all of those things was troubling.
Yes.
Because Will folks over at Fitz News picked up the news pretty quickly, and
Well, on the other side, people were saying Goldfinch brought this up because he's running against Pasco.
correct. Yeah, there can be some political motivation.
Right. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Goldfinch's words were, I didn't want to have to bring this up. But I was being told that you've got to bring it up. And whenever he brought it up, then Chairman Peeler has opened up an ethics investigation.
Okay. So anyway, that was news that we wanted to pass along to the two listeners. Also, the Senate race here
Paul
in the state.
Dans dropped out.
Yep. So Senator Lindsey Graham is running, obviously, for re-election. Paul Dans had filed to run against him. Also, Mark Lynch.
And there's another man that's running too, but he's not on stage yet. I'm not sure what the qualifications are, but evidently he's a local man around here. I had a lot of comments on my post yesterday stating that some other man's running.
Yeah, he goes to First Baptist out of Clover.
Okay.
Yep, my mother-in-law asked if I knew him.
Everyone
no.
spoke highly of him. And
yeah.
But I don't know if you have to raise so much money to get on the stage, similar to a gubernatorial race, or have so many signatures or donors.
Yeah.
But Paul Dans dropping out, and what I found odd is Paul Dans is the guy who blasted Mark Lynch just a few weeks ago because Mark Lynch evidently hired a private investigator to follow not only him, but his family.
Yeah. Yeah. And was literally on Twitter threatening him, like, if you do this...
Step up, big boy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, basically to a duel,
Yeah.
And so...
We need to get back to that, by the way.
Man, so I just found it very odd that you had a gentleman in Paul Dans who was ready to just beat the tar out of Mark Lynch and is now sharing the stage with him.
Now he's endorsing it.
And endorsing Mark Lynch.
Which is very shocking. It kind of makes you wonder if the private investigator found something.
I don't know. And
I think it should be illegal to hire a private investigator. If you want to do opposition research, that's one thing. But hiring a PI to follow someone around, to go after their family, that crosses a line.
Yeah, and then to use the information to then leverage that.
That's called blackmail.
Candidate, I know.
Yeah.
And, it happens
I
probably
beg for that
more.
day to happen.
Ooh. So yeah, that'll be interesting to follow that Senate race because now we have that primary on June 9th, and now it's just between Mark Lynch and Senator Lindsey Graham. So, and I don't know. I mean, I've met Senator Graham a few times. Very nice guy. Seems to be raising a lot of money. He has the Donald Trump endorsement. I don't know what the path to success for Mark Lynch is, just frankly speaking. I don't.
The only path to success is anti-Lindsey. And I was an anti-Lindsey guy.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys that said, I will not vote for Lindsey Graham. And then his last opponent did some shady stuff, and I was like, okay, well, I'm voting for Lindsey. And even whenever I went to meet him the first time in D.C., my thought is, this is flimsy Lindsey. He's going to flip-flop on this.
Right.
And he sits down, and he took my son's story and took it personal.
Yeah.
And went in fighting. And what I have gotten to know of Senator Graham since then is that if he believes in something, he's going to fight it.
Right.
And you might not like all of his decisions. I don't like all of his decisions.
Right.
But he's not going to bend the knee just to get votes, or else he would be popular. If he was a true politician, he would be the most popular one if he's flip-flopping, and it's not that.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because you and I have personally experienced running for an elected office, winning our elections, getting into the state house, and now we've been there for 2 terms. And folks, we're not the same people as when we came in. We have experienced a lot, we have learned a lot, and now we understand how the body works, right? Or how to be effective and how to get legislation through, or how to, you know what I mean? And so
I just learned to shut up at times.
Well, you're learning.
A little bit more. Still working on it, though.
But, and so I would say anyone that says, as a politician, you're set in concrete, that's uneducated. It is. Because
no decisions are set in concrete.
Correct. That would basically say that you shouldn't be learning every single day or every single minute of every day. And that's just, look, I'm not the same person as I was 4 years ago, because I've learned a lot. I've experienced a lot in the State House. And I think that makes me a more effective legislator, hopefully. And so same thing with Lindsey. Maybe he has, 2 degrees changed on certain things as he has changed and as the times have changed. But how is that a knock on somebody? You know what I mean?
Well,
now, again, I wouldn't say abandon core principles. I mean, you don't go pro-life to pro-choice, right? But, I think Lindsey has always had the same sort of core values. I mean, he's always been a little more hawkish on foreign wars, and those types of things. I think he's sort of socially center-right, on social issues. But he's common sense too, right? I mean, where he's not allowing boys and girls sports and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the only problem I really have ever had is the foreign stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of the Rand Paul on that side of things. Like, I don't want us involved in anything foreign. I want us to protect America first.
Yes.
His argument, same thing with Nikki Haley's argument, is no, these are important things that we have to deal with that will become bigger problems
if we don't. Yeah,
now, granted, I've never sat in the rooms that they've sat in.
Mm-hmm.
See,
just right there. Brandon Guffey, you just shown personal growth. See? Because 4 years ago, you and I were like, man, we're going to go join the Freedom Caucus. We're ultra conservative and da-da-da. And then we get down there, we're like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I mean, there's only been one issue that I can think of that I actually changed. And I'll use the example, term limits.
Yeah.
I'm a big term limit guy, always been for term limits.
Yeah.
Someone made the argument, I'll be damned if the government will tell me who I can't vote for.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like, wait a minute, that's a good argument. I don't
point.
want the government
Yeah,
controlling my vote, but I still believe in term limits. You got to make way for the younger generation to step up. I just don't want the government forcing term limits.
Yeah, correct. And I'm sort of the same way. I'm not a career politician. Don't want to be serving for 30 years at a time. God bless you, folks. If you have a rep out there that has been serving you for 20 plus years, that's not going to be me, right? I mean, I'm just at an age where
I don't think I got 20 years left of my life.
I'm about to turn 50, and I'd say 10, 15 more years. I want to be slowing down and enjoying my family. So, but the great thing about Rock Hill and even up in Lake Wylie where you live, there's always there's always good people who are willing to step up and serve. So yeah, to your point about term limits, I believe that folks shouldn't be serving. It's not.
I want term limits for those that I don't like. Certainly. But I mean, the argument was, the guy made to me, he's like, I would have voted for Reagan for a third term if I could have. Right. I don't like the fact that the government tells me I can't vote for someone.
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, I will term limit myself out, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Wes actually did that, Clymer, when he originally went and ran for,
I think he said 12 years.
the state senate. He said 3 terms and I'm done, and that's what he's doing now. He's running for Congress. So
yeah,
I would probably sort of follow in that footstep of just personally saying, hey guys, I think 5-6 terms is plenty.
Yeah, but I don't want to be someone like Senator Scott did, saying 2 terms I'm out.
Oh, right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, no, I'm going to run again.
Yeah,
I think you lose credibility doing that.
I don't think you could do that. That's sort of like, if you're, like in Afghanistan. Okay, we're going to leave on August 1st of this year. Well, then what happens? Your enemies start whatever. So no, I'm not going to say, but I will not be spending 20 years. I can just
Yeah.
I will
Well,
commit to
and
that.
at the same time, for the state of South Carolina, for us to have a junior senator come in,
Yeah.
whenever we've got two of the most powerful senators right now,
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Like, that hurts the state.
Yeah,
As long as the senator is not detrimental to the state.
Yep.
Because if we need something for our district, let's just say we need a bridge.
Yeah.
We need something to where we need federal help. We can go to a Lindsey Graham and a Tim Scott and have a little bit of pull with that. But if we've got a junior senator, will they be able to get those funds? Just like whenever you have a freshman rep come in.
Yeah, right.
Do they know how to navigate through the system? Do they even know who to ask?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to come in and just demand, oh, I should get this money.
I should give
it to me.
Yeah.
You know?
How'd that work out?
Not good.
All right. This episode of Pints of Politics is brought to you by Comer Distributing. Comer Distributing Company is a wholesale beer distributor located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 1971, Comer is a family-owned business that distributes beer and other beverages to York, Chester, Fairfield, Lancaster, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties.
Got the insiders whisper what it's about. They say keep it low, I say it loud. We ain't here for likes, we control the crowd.
I like the lyrics.
We need some dancers in the background.
Yeah.
No kidding. Hey, so before we went on furlough, it seemed like we were busy, man. We were just knocking out legislation, sending it over to the Senate. And a couple that I wanted to highlight because I know Representative Guffey and I both, when we were running as freshmen, we said public safety was a big one for us.
Yes.
That's a common sense issue. Everyone wants to live in a safe neighborhood, right? And two bills that I wanted to highlight. One was House Bill 3034, and that was, and man, the name of this bill is Fargo, Hyco, Rico, Cobo, Wick, and Mika's Law. And basically, this is protecting or actually stiffening penalties for folks who injure, maim, kill law enforcement animal.
Yeah, horse or dog.
Yep. And what it did was it took a misdemeanor from, I think, 6 months or something to a year, and then felony was 5. It took it up to 15. So it's really sending the signal to folks who want to act a fool that if they want to kick, shoot, stab, whatever, a law enforcement animal, that they're going to be going to jail for a long time. It's a serious offense. I know that those dogs and those horses are treated like family.
I mean, they are officers.
Yeah, and they need to be treated as such when in the line of duty they get killed or injured.
Yeah, that one of the arguments that came because it was partisan vote, Republicans versus Democrats essentially. But one of the arguments was, well, why should, because I think taunting was part of it. If you taunt a dog,
Yeah,
why would you get more time than if you taunted a human?
right.
Right? That was one of the arguments, but then those amendments and stuff were pulled off.
Yeah,
and they
right.
still voted against the bill.
Well, and I think, that's a little bit of subterfuge. I think that is, everyone knows that in general, humans are smarter than dogs. And,
Some. I mean, you know
that's
who
what
we
I'm saying.
serve
That's
with.
why I said in general. and
Not talking about you, Thomas Beach. Don't worry.
If you taunt a human being, they have sort of the discipline and the demeanor as professional law enforcement that they can withstand a temptation most of the time to not just smack someone who's taunting them, right? You want to. Whereas maybe a trained animal doesn't have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that passed out like 85-30. Again, like you said, partisan lines, Republicans in support, Democrats in opposition. And then the other bill I wanted to talk about was House Bill 4764, which on that midweek sip before we went on furlough,
Yes.
We had Subcommittee Chair Representative Travis Moore come and talk about that. And basically, what that bill does is it says that if you have every law enforcement agency that operates a correctional facility, not short-term holding cells, must, as soon as possible, enter into a written agreement with federal immigration enforcement agencies to participate in the federal 287G program that authorizes them to enforce federal immigration law inside the facility. Again, for me and you, I don't really think that's complicated.
It seems pretty common sense. Shouldn't have to write a law to state,
Yeah. And
hey,
again,
we're gonna comply with federal law.
right. And you know, folks, I know immigration is a touchy issue and those types of things, and I'm not saying that we can't
Illegal immigration.
illegal
is a
immigration, right?
Touchy subject.
And look, not too long ago, you had presidential candidate Hillary Clinton saying the same thing that Donald Trump is saying now, right? That illegal immigration, they should be deported, they should be fined, you know, and all these things. And now, because again, I think it's who sits at 1600, you know, there at the White House, that we're in opposition of this. This is law enforcement should not be using political orthodoxy to implement policy, whether to follow a law or not to follow a law. Folks, there's federal supremacy when it comes to these laws. If someone breaks a federal law and then gets caught by local law enforcement, they should be complying and coordinating and collaborating with federal authorities. That is just common sense. How this became a narrative of where that's, you know.
Well, the whole thing is local law, if it is harsher than a federal law, should override, should supersede, right?
And a lot of times the
But
local
instead, people are
solicitors
saying,
will.
we're just going to change the law. We're going to disagree with what federal law says,
Yeah.
and we're going to make it a sanctuary city.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
It is such bullshit that, in my opinion, when you have local law enforcement working in contradiction with federal law, they should be held accountable.
Yes.
And not just playing with federal dollars where you don't send money to, say, the city of Chicago. No, they are impeding or obstructing federal justice, and that is against the law.
Yep.
And I know that's a hard one to swallow. I don't know how that became like this big politically divisive issue.
Unless the Constitution is overriding it. Like, you know, during our sheriff's debate, that was one of the big questions. Are you going to be a constitutional sheriff? The Constitution is the law of the land. We write
Last
the
time we
additional
checked.
laws, right?
Yeah.
So, nothing should be controversial about being constitutional. No local laws should override it, nor should any federal laws.
Right. But a lot of times you just find these local personalities who have, you know, won elected office make everything a political issue. But I don't think collaborating, coordinating with federal law enforcement to bring accountability to someone who has broken federal law is that hard to understand, right? And like I said,
I would say that, but on the flip side of things, you look at what Trump did as soon as he took office. Even though they were being directed on a federal level, the FBI agents, to investigate anyone that was there January 6th, not necessarily convict,
right.
they cleaned house with a lot of those people, even though they're following orders.
Yeah.
It wasn't as if they were making the decision on who to investigate.
Yep.
They were just following orders, and you know that ended up costing possibly some good people with their careers. So you never know how it's going to go.
Well, and again, that's why, you know, getting federal judges on the bench that aren't activists,
Right.
they're actually interpreting the letter of the law, is vitally important. You know, it seems like lately it's become sort of a political fealty situation where judges, you know, are going to decide on how they interpret the law based on who appointed them. And, you know, you can't do that. And again, here's another idea. Why don't we make reasonable immigration law, or why don't we fully fund immigration where your legal ports of entry, where it doesn't take 8 years to get an engineer who has a family into our country, right?
Or $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it so difficult? Like, someone please comment and tell me why it takes, you know, 5-10 years for someone who is a law-abiding citizen in another country, say India, say France, say Germany. Why does it take so long to get them over here, even on a temporary 6-month basis, right? If everything checks out.
Unless they get an HB1 visa.
No criminal records and all those things. But they're a nuclear scientist, or they're an engineer, or they're a doctor, right?
Those types of people are the people that we should want to bring to make America better.
Yeah.
But yet we're giving all the HB1 visas to field workers, to 7-Eleven workers,
Right.
to the positions that are not improving America, so to say.
Yeah.
Like if you're just coming in just for basic labor and trying to work your way up versus you having a skill set to contribute.
Right. And so all I'm trying to say is I understand that it's frustrating to legally get here. It takes a while, it takes a lot of patience, and sometimes you don't want to exercise that patience. But the answer isn't hopping a fence and coming over and working, right? And so I would be, if I was on
Or
a federal...
if you do, you got to understand the consequences.
Yeah, that's right. And I am all for increasing the budget to where we could fully staff the folks at our legal ports of entry to where we can get them processed, get them...
Increase the budget, right?
Yeah, I know, this common sense, reasonable, sort of policy ideas that can improve workforce shortages in healthcare, can improve, you know what I mean? And so all I'm saying is you can be pro-legal immigration and then also admit, like, hey, have we utilized all the tools in the toolbox to make sure that, why does it take 5 years? Can we get this down to 12 months or less? Can we get them on a temporary 6-month program while we do more vetting and interview? You know what I mean? And some
or if you can't afford all that, put it on 5 years. And if you haven't committed any crimes within 5 years and you're showing that you contribute,
again, there's folks
allow
out
you
there.
to become a citizen. But in my opinion, if you're going to become a citizen of the United States, you need to renounce whatever citizenship of the country that you're leaving.
Well, and then also you have to be, you can't come, in my opinion, this is common sense to me, you cannot come and enjoy the fruits of our democracies while then championing, death to America as well. That will get you a boot in the ass, in my opinion.
Do you hear that, Islamaville?
Out of this country. You cannot do that. Again, you cannot come and pillage our system, right? Capitalist, free markets, democracy, and all that stuff, and then yell death to America. Can't do it. And so I think there's some common sense, pragmatic approaches. But having local law enforcement participating, collaborating with federal law enforcement on immigration issues is common sense.
Well, we got another one that passed out of judiciary pool that I don't know a lot about, but I'm interested in, and that's the SC Drone Regulation and Public Safety Act.
Yep.
Now,
what did that do? Make it legal you can throw rocks at drones?
I don't know exactly, but I will say just a few years ago, I had law enforcement called on me because I had a drone following me while I'm talking to someone at one of my business locations. The drone was harassing and everything else, so I picked up a rock and I downed the drone.
That's
I didn't
hilarious.
shoot it or anything else.
Yeah.
Well, evidently I didn't have the right to do so, even though this thing's flying 10 feet high, going around the head and everything else.
Huh.
I didn't have that right. And as I talked to the AG's office, the problem is a lot of this is controlled by the FAA.
Federal, right.
And I was told that we couldn't really do anything. So I'm very interested in actually seeing this bill as it come out of judiciary to see exactly what it does, because we do have problems with these drones that are harassing people.
Yeah. Well, while you were giving us that brief rock throwing incident, I pulled this.
No charges were filed.
Let me tell you what House Bill 4679 does. This is the South Carolina Drone Regulation and Public Safety Act. It creates a new section in the code to set statewide rules for drones and related criminal penalties. Here's what it does in plain language. Greatly expands critical infrastructure into a detailed list. Oh, okay, so it's protecting critical infrastructure, so refineries, power facilities, pipelines, chemical plants, water facilities.
So we probably need it over prisons to stop these dropping of packages.
Yeah, and it mandates compliance with federal FAA rules, creates statewide no-go restricted zones.
So why can't we do the same crap
So
with cell phone blockers?
Airspace, critical infrastructure, correctional facilities, military installations, hey, and private property. There you go. So
isn't every property
you would have been within
private?
your. Well, if you were traveling in public right of way, maybe that's the only way you can navigate. But and large live events are also no-go zones. So
what about if it was? Is that going to hurt our businesses?
Hey, man.
that are like recording the events.
Literally,
I had Rock Hill Drone Guy do the.
Oh, right. No, I think
event.
as long as you're registered and all those things, it is. I think it's dealing with unregistered or registered over certain things that don't have the right to be there.
I'm certainly interested in diving into that bill.
So your neighbor who was using the drone to harass you or whatever?
It was 5-6 houses down the road from my commercial property.
Yeah.
I have someone come out, we're talking, and this drone is just harassing. So we walk back into the woods. I'm showing them the remainder of the property, which is like 4 acres cleared, 6 acres uncleared.
Right.
And then this drone, as soon as we come back out, starts swarming by, swarming around our heads. And I just get ticked off and grab rocks and I'm down the drone.
So under
Cause
this,
damage.
you'd be okay.
Yeah, but they didn't know what to do. I mean, I had City of Rock Hill police, I had York County police.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to figure out what. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you're lucky I
Right.
didn't shoot the drone. I had a pistol on my hip. I should have shot
Brandon
it.
Guffey on the frontier of legal precedence in South Carolina.
I'm not just trying to down your. If I can hit your drone with a rock, it might be too close to me.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's what we did. Talking about that, participating with federal law enforcement, and then also protecting our animal law enforcement. Those did get passed, and that brings up because both of those votes seem to be partisan, where it was like an 85-30 vote, where Republicans were in support of these law enforcement efforts or this legislation, and Democrats were on the other side. And again. It has been touted, and let's now look at this as a campaign year for us. It has been touted, it's been getting a lot of news, especially in the Post and Courier, that the Democrats have had, for the first time ever, challenged every single seat. So all 124 seats have a Democrat in the general election. And that got me thinking, like, man, what does that really mean, right? Because I'm looking at, challengers right here in York County and this, that, and the other, and doing some checking. And
Some serious, some not.
yeah. And so, while the Democratic Party on a state level is touting the quantity of their candidates, I would ask them, check the quality, right? If you've got,
I think we could say the same thing about the Republican Party.
Yeah, well,
or something.
I'm just saying, if you got a cup of Kool-Aid, you put a couple cups of water in it, probably tastes good. But if you put a greater volume than it can handle.
Well, I mean, the Democratic Party did post an ad in Fulton Petalino's district after her initial opponent pulled out. They were trying to get someone else, and they basically ran an ad. It's like, hey, we're looking for someone to run as a Democrat to challenge Fulton Petalino. And then they get like 4 or 5 people jumped in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, if that's the recruiting, just spend that $100 on,
Yeah.
X to boost it. And
Well, yeah, we'll see. So what do we got next week? I know we've got a couple things. The DOT modernization bill did pass out of Ways and Means full committee, so I expect to see that here in a week or so.
I would imagine so.
I know we've got some meetings beginning of the week that'll sort of set our agenda for the floor debate and all, because that's one that we've got to get done and out, because a big component of that bill that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it will impact York County especially, is the ability to allow our DOT to work with folks in the private space when it comes to rideshare, toll roads, things of that nature.
There's a big push from our local York County GOP against it.
Well, then enjoy the traffic and gridlock coming out of Charlotte, because there's projects that are already just looking at the design of, and because of the proximity to Charlotte, to our state line, we're going to have to work with NC DOT and South Carolina DOT, and then also rideshare private folks, to see how we can work together to improve our transportation system throughout York County and Charlotte-Mecklenburg, but also not pass on those costs to the taxpayer.
Well, I mean, being on the committee and seeing how many times we met, and seeing not everyone's going to get everything that they want, but I don't ever remember Representative White proposing any amendments at any point. No. And yet I'm being told he's going to have a lot of amendments on this on the floor.
Well,
we'll
and this this is full circle back to when we opened up the show. We were talking about some of the things that we were doing sort of behind the scenes and, that don't get on the floor of the House or the floor of the Senate, but it's the work that you got to put in.
I mean, we only met for 6 months.
Yeah. And so that's unfortunate. I really wish that if there's one takeaway I would say is, when you're in the Senate or when you're in the State House, that hard work and the real genuine efforts are recognized.
Right. Or it boils down to working smarter, not harder. You're making things harder on yourself. If you're looking for just getting talking points, that's the floor. But if you're actually wanting to be effective, then you need to find a different route. If you've been doing the same crap for 3 years and you haven't got anything done, you might need to find another route. Just saying.
Yeah.
So 4 years now.
Yeah. So what else we got going on next week? Anything that because us being on furlough,
I haven't broken into it yet.
You sort of, I haven't looked ahead to the calendar either. I know we are considering having some testimony heard in the medical sub on some issues. And this is sort of trying to, look, the physician non-compete bill, I heard a lot of reasons that folks didn't want to vote and pass that was it would end all rural health care. This is a similar argument that we heard during the repeal of Certificate of Need 2 years ago. And again, while rural health does have challenges, I don't think the physician non-compete is the death nail to rural health care. I think and so that got me reinvigorated on, man, we've really got to look at rural health. And here's a couple of the steps I've been doing. I've been trying to find all the buckets of money that are in the state budget or in HHS's budget for rural health care. Did you know there's like 5 or 6 buckets for rural health care? And folks, I can't tell you if they're working together or not. It's a patchwork approach. I think we need to streamline those cash flows. I think we need to consolidate those offices and those efforts to where we can better take care of patients in rural health.
You're advocating for a help, sorry.
Twice.
Now, and Senate LCI, I know we've got the chatbots bills coming up. That's been my focus so far, but I don't know as far as committee work so far coming up in the House. I have not looked at that schedule.
Yeah.
Should have prepped a little bit better before I got on.
Well, you got the Cheerwine ALE, so. Well, that'll wrap up.
And folks, do try it if you like Cheerwine.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks for watching. If you are watching, you probably see how dorky we look in the same Masters shirt. But, hey, it's a good-looking shirt.
Hey, yours is a little bit lighter.
But remember to follow us on all the social media platforms that you subscribe to. Check us out on
pintsandpolitics.show.
Yep.
Instagram, Apple, Facebook, X,
and
now
folks,
on TikTok.
If you see our reels out there, you like them, they make you laugh or make you even think about, comment, like, and then share, right? I don't know if there's too many shows out there that actually have sitting state reps who actually comment on the work they're doing.
Most people are worried about getting reelected.
Well, and we're just trying to make this sort of collaborative effort more transparent.
Yeah, and the more comments we have, the more conversation we're able to have.
Yeah, and we have been getting a lot of comments back on the tort reform stuff. So appreciate all of those comments. And, man, some really insightful comments. And some of them I had to look up some of the words, because I am not an attorney.
It's not just me.
But thank you for those comments. Thank you for all the past guests of the last show. We did get a lot of sort of momentum around that. Thank you to Jermaine Johnson.
Yep.
And now we're back to the regular old, just boring 2 guys in the same shirt. So thanks for listening this week.
2 guys, 1 shirt.
We'll see you next time.
Politics, where the truth at. Big facts, no spin, run it back now. No script, no filter, just facts now. Raise a glass, let it clink, make it clap loud. Pints and politics.